Erev Tov, everybody. Good evening. There's not enough room in this room. We're going to go up to the middle room soon. We're going to work you up, no? You got free sushi, so now you have to run up and down. Tov. So, good evening, everybody, and thank you all for coming. And first of all, thank you very much for Yaniv and for the entire Chazak organization for organizing, as usual, such amazing events. So I personally want to lechazek et Chazak. What a name, Chazak. So, bemet kol hakavod, and thank you very much for organizing such an amazing event. And many other people that participated to organize and to advertise. And we're not going to mention all the names. So, but nevertheless, anyone who participated in organizing the event and finding the place and sponsoring the event, and the ones who were cooking the sushi, they made an amazing job. And so Hashem should bless you all with bracha ve'atzlacha. And there's too many people to take names, but I'm going to bless you all together. That anybody who needs refuah should have a refuah shlema, and anybody who needs parnasa should have an abundance, and anybody who needs to get married should find the best person to get married, and should have kids, and yirat shamayim, and ahavat Hashem, and all the brachot that everybody wishes for themselves should be answered by Borei Olam. We should all merit to see the coming of Mashiach with our own eyes very soon. I know we moved you around a lot, up and down and up and down. But on your way out, there's a table. There's a nice girl there, Libby. She has CDs. All the CDs are free. Please take some. If you want, take some more. So give it to other people. The CDs are all free. We want to talk about a very interesting topic, and I think that's why the house is full. If I would talk about Yirat Shamayim, we would have like 3 people. We're talking about Sinat Chinam, 2 people. Talk about Ahavat Israel, me. Just talking to the cameras. One time we made a lecture, how to become rich. There wasn't any room in the room. We had to sell oxygen because there was no air in the room. So Baruch Hashem, now we want to talk about Mazal and dreams, so we have a full house. That's how you get the people, the sushi and the Mazal. So we want to talk about 2 different things that are kind of different from each other, but nevertheless, everything is connected. So we're going to start the lecture talking about dreams. What are dreams? Where do they come from? What do they mean? Can I interpret dreams? Should I interpret dreams? What do the dreams teach me? And everybody has dreams. To a point that up until a few hundred years ago, most people said, dreams is nonsense. It's some nonsense. But lately even science are more supporting dreams. It was even Freud that said not too long ago that dreams are the key to the pnimiyut, to the inner dimension of a person. And this is coming down from science. We're going to learn more what the Torah has to say, not what science has to say. But nevertheless, we know from almost the beginning of Sefer Bereshit, it's already talking about dreams. There are 10 dreams mentioned in the Torah. 9 of them are in the book of Bereshit. We just read most of them. And all of them are actually concentrated around the month of Kislev and the month of Tevet. Of course, we had the famous dream. The first dream in the Torah is Avimelech, and then after that is Yaakov, and then Yosef in the dreams, and Sarah Mashkim and Sarah Ophim, and Paro. So obviously the Torah is also mentioning many times about the dreams. The next topic we're going to involve in it is Mazal. And Mazal, if you translate it in English, is luck. But this is not what we're talking about. This is not the luck that you go to Atlantic City and you give me the 7, 9. This is not luck. That's maybe in English you say Mazal. In Hebrew, Mazal is a completely different thing. But they are connected to each other. But first we're going to talk a little bit about the dream. Really, it's not a lecture. Really, a dream has to be a course, not a dream, not a lecture, because there's so much what to talk about. And the most important thing to remember is you're not going to leave this room tonight knowing how to interpret dreams. A lot of people come and tell me, listen, I dreamt about this and about that. What does it mean? I can already suggest to you, don't go to people to try to interpret dreams. Because really, we don't have a Yosef in our generation that can tell you what dreams mean. And some people start interpreting dreams, and they're putting people under pressure, and people start losing their mind, and they don't understand what the dream means. So now we're not going to learn how to interpret dreams. There are many books that will say if you dream about this and this, that it means that. If you dream about this, it means this. But it becomes very sophisticated and better not to get into it. But if you're looking at the scientific part of dreams, then it says that whatever we have in our inner being, it comes out in a dream. That's what if you would talk to a psychologist, or if you talk to somebody who's looking more in the scientific part of dreams, saying that, whatever is kind of like going on in our mind, that's what going to come out in your dream. But we want to understand what is dreams, and if there's any meaning to that, and if I can tell the future from dreams, and does the dream give me some type of a message that I need to take serious. And what's interestingly that if you're looking at the side of the Torah, there's an argument. In the Torah, there are many different places that it's talking about dreams. One of the most talked place will be the Talmud, even though it's mentioned already also in the Zohar and books of Kabbalah. But there's an argument in the Talmud about dreams. And it says that in one way, dreams are false. This is one opinion in the Talmud, that it says, Chalomot shav yedaberu, that the dreams are just thoughts, they're stam, it's nonsense going on. This is one opinion. But there is another opinion in the Torah, that it says that dafka the dreams will reveal to you things that you need to know. So you have a different contradiction. Now our sages explain that dreams are 60th of a prophecy, which means that when you have a dream, and we're going to more explain when and how and what, but a dream can be 60th of a prophecy. It means that there's something in the dream. And we're going to quote a lot from a book called Derech Hashem, written by the Ramchal, Rabbi Chaim Luzzatto, and he speaks a lot about dreams. And he says over there something very interesting, that there are two types of dreams. One type is the Chalomot Shav, is the dreams that are completely fake. There's nothing there, it's just a bunch of nonsense. And then there's also the type of dreams that are the real dreams. Now, what does it mean, real dreams? It means that there's a message in that dream. It's not just a vision. It's not something to keep you occupied while you're sleeping. So a lot of people think that when I sleep I have dreams. It's, in the morning I have Netflix, and at night I have dreams. So the dreams in one way can be false. It's true. The opinion in the Talmud that says that the dreams are false, it's true, because a lot of them are false. And the opinion in the Talmud that says that the dreams are real, that's also true. But there are two types of dreams. Now, a lot of it about dreams you can find in the Talmud in Tractate Brachot, specifically in page 52, 53, 54. But nevertheless, it says there in the Tractate Brachot that there's a story once that the Caesar, there was a Caesar, a Roman Caesar, and he told the Rabbi Yoshua ben Hananiah, who was one of the greatest Tanaim, who was known as a very wise individual, and he told him, you Jews are very smart, and I want you to tell me, what am I going to dream tonight? So how do you get out of that? I'm going to know what you're going to dream tonight. How can I know what you're going to dream tonight? So Rabbi Hananiah told him, you know what? I will tell you what you're going to dream tonight. And he starts telling him a whole dream, how the Persians, because then at the time the Romans and the Persians, they were the rivals. I mean, nothing really changed. Also now, the Romans, we think they are Italians, but Romi in the Drushim is referring to Edom, to America. So even now the Persians in America, they have issues. But nevertheless, even then, so the Caesar was asking, what will he see in the dream? So he told him the Persians are going to conquer your land, and they're going to slave you. And I see you with even though you're going to be a slave, you're going to still walk with a gold staff, a gold stick. And anyways, sure enough, he goes home, and at night he dreams about it. And he dreams about everything, how the Persians, the country, they conquered them, they made him a slave, and he was still walking, but walking with a golden staff. And of course he was saying, how did How did the Rabbi Yehoshua know? Well, the Jews are probably all, Bemet, are so smart. Now, maybe if you don't mind the phones to turn off. So, how did he know what he's going to dream? Is because when he told him that, he told him what was connected to him, his fears that the Persians are going to conquer him, that he's going to become a slave. He still told him that he's walking with a golden staff, meaning he's a king. So he was telling him things that is relating to him. So the result was that that's what he was thinking all day long. So at night, that's what he was dreaming about. And there are many stories like that. And the conclusion is that whatever I'm thinking of during the day, that's what's going to be in my mind. That's what I'm going to dream at night. So if during the day I'm very, very worried about how am I going to pay my mortgage and whatever about a certain relationship or how much I want to get married or whatever it is, whatever my mind is occupied all day long, then most likely that's what's going to be the theme of most of my dreams. That's why when you watch too many junk during the day and all sorts of dancing cats on Facebook and the stupid videos that they post everywhere, so that's what's going to be your dreams at night. If you learn Torah all day long, and that's what's going on in your mind, most likely that's what you're going to have at night. You're going to think of Chidushei Torah, of holy things. So whatever you think during the day, most likely is going to be already in your thoughts, in the thought system, in the brain, and that's what you're going to be thinking about. Now, and these are called Chalomot Shav, false dreams. Now you have a certain thing that worries you or certain things that occupies your mind, most likely that's what's going to be in your dream, and of course it's going to come in many different ways. But these are the false dreams. But there are dreams that are not so false. Now the Ramchal says in his book, Derech Hashem, this can be found in the first part, that he says that when a person is sleeping, the body is sleeping, the mind is sleeping, the whole system is sleeping. Everything is relaxed and calmed down. But there's one thing that's not sleeping, and that's the soul. The soul doesn't go to sleep. He doesn't say soul, rather he says the nefesh. The lowest of all parts of the soul is kind of numb, but it's not sleeping. It's still functioning. And it says that we have in our structure of our soul 5 levels. From top to bottom is chaya, yechida, chaya, neshama, ruach, and nefesh. Our soul is built from like a structure, like kind of like an onion with the layers, just 5 layers. And of course, those 5 layers are built in from more layers. The teachings of Kabbalah explains that our soul has 125 levels, or we will call it now for the sake of so it will be easy to understand, layers. If you look at an onion, you peel a layer and another one and another one and another one. And our soul has 125. Because we have 5 levels which are nefesh, ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. But we have 5 levels in each level, and in each that level another 5. So 5 times 5 times 5. These are the levels we have in our neshama. The neshama is very, very sophisticated. Now the highest of all parts of the neshama, the chaya and the yechida, they never come into the body. They're way too holy to come down into the world. The 3 components of the soul that we are most using is the nefesh, the ruach, and the neshama. And in English, there's not really right words for that. Soul, you say, okay, soul is a neshama. But nefesh, how would you say nefesh? Ruach, some will say spirit. But nevertheless, these are the 3 levels that we operate through. And the way they work is one is dressed inside the other. The neshama is the most refined one. It's the most innocent one. And then after that will come the ruach, the spirit. And after that, the nefesh. And in the nefesh, there are different levels. There's a spiritual nefesh, a nefesh elokit, and a physical nefesh. It's not physical, but it's called a physical nefesh, nefesh be'emit. And there's a whole structure, what controls the body, what moves the body. For example, the neshama is way too holy, it cannot move the body. The body, just imagine, is a huge machine. Sometimes you see these massive, massive trucks, and all these huge cranes. And a little man is sitting in the front and just moving a few sticks, and he's moving this massive machine. That's how we are. The body is a huge machine, and the neshama is sitting in the cockpit, and it needs to somehow move the body. So the body has a lot of components. It has senses, the sense of smelling, of seeing, of hearing, of moving, of touching. Tell you, more cameras than people. Now, each and every one of these parts of the soul has a certain tafkid, a certain job to do. Now, when the soul wants to move the body, it needs to be dressed into the ruach, and the ruach needs to be dressed into the nefesh. Almost like if I have a puppet now, and I want to make sure that the puppet is moving. If you take the hand out of the puppet, it's just a piece of cloth. But once you put the hand into the puppet and you start moving your hands, and the puppet will start moving. And if I want to move the hand of the puppet, then I need to go like this. And if I want to move the other hand of the puppet, I need to move my finger. But I need to move my hand in order for the puppet to move. And when I'm looking at the puppet, then I think that the puppet is moving by itself. I mean, little kids that look at a puppet. When I was a little kid, my hero was a puppet. And, 40 years ago, TV was black and white. So my hero was a puppet. And one time, my parents took me to a live show. And I had the shock of my life. Because on TV, he was gray. And then in real life, he was green. And I was like, what happened to him? He's sick. He's green. So, but I remember I was a little kid. For me, the puppet, I didn't know there's a hand there. And then when I found out that there's a hand moving it, my God, he's possessed. This is a hand moving him. So we are the same thing. The body is a puppet, and the hand, so to say, will be the neshama, but the neshama can't move the body. So the neshama has to be dressed into a ruach and has to be dressed into a nefesh. The nefesh is the one that is most connected to the body itself, and the neshama will give order or command. The nefesh will be the one who starts moving the body. So we know based on the teachings of Kabbalah that the neshama positioned in the front of the brain, and the ruach is in the heart, and the nefesh is in the blood. This is a source in the Torah that it says ki nefesh hu adam. So we know that the nefesh is in the blood, and the nefesh is the one that enlivens the body. And how do you know that the nefesh is everywhere? Anywhere you'll poke with a needle, then blood will come out. So the nefesh is where it's dwelling is in the blood. And if you know, the blood has some type of warmth, and since something is warm, there's a vapor going out from the blood constantly. So the vapor between the blood and the veins, that's where the nefesh is, and the nefesh is constantly running in the body. Now, if chas v'shalom, a person starts losing too much blood, at some point, if too much blood will come out, then the nefesh will have to come out of the body. If you remember the first murder in the Torah, when Cain killed Hevel, he stabbed him. The Midrash says that he stabbed him 300 times, because he didn't know from where the nefesh is going to come out from. So he starts stabbing him everywhere. So the nefesh is dwelling in the blood, and the nefesh also has a few components: the physical, the nefesh habemit, the nefesh elokit. But we need to understand all that, because at night, all the components of the soul, they leave the body. A very low part of the nefesh is staying in the body, so the body can breathe, and a few of the senses can work. Most people are familiar with 5 senses. Really, there are 12 senses, not 5 senses. For the ones of you who follow our classes online, every month we post a class about the month. But the power of the month, the sense of the month, the tribe of the month, the letter of the month, and what needs to be done. So we know there are 12 senses, not 5 senses. So when the nefesh is down to sleep, most of the senses are numb. You don't really hear, you don't really see, you can't talk. If somebody will touch you, you don't really feel it. But nevertheless, it's working on very low power just to maintain the body. All the rest of the parts of the souls are going up to the world above. Now, there are many reasons why the neshama will go up to the world above. The first and most important is to understand is why really do we sleep? If you think about it, why do we need to sleep? If it was up to me, I would cancel the whole sleeping thing. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of time. You sleep a third of your life. It's a waste of time. It's a waste of space. Space, beds everywhere. It's changed it. Sheets all the time, and why can't we just sleep like this? So it's a waste of time, waste of space, lots of laundry. Who needs this headache? But nevertheless, there's a very good reason why we have to sleep. So techef we're going to talk about exactly what happens when we sleep, because this is the most important part to understand. But we have to understand before that a little bit the nature of things. So the Ramchal says that when we go to sleep, all the components of the soul, they get disconnected from the body, and then they go up to Shamayim, and a very little piece of the soul stays in the body. And this is the most important thing to remember and to understand why, because if you don't know what's going on at night, then you're missing the most important part of the day, which is going to sleep. Now, before we continue with that, we have to understand, it says in the Talmud, in Tractate Brachot, page 57, it says that there are 5 things in this world that are a 60th of something. And these things are fire, honey, Shabbat, sleeping, and a dream. These are the 5 things that in this world there are 60th of something. Fire in this world is 60th of a Gehenom. So if you want to kind of have a feel out how it feels in Gehenom, then put your hand in fire. Now say that's 60 times of that. That's how it is in Gehenom. Honey is 60th of man. Remember in the desert they used to eat man? They didn't have sushi like you here spoiled in America. They had man. So honey, what is the nature of honey? Very, very sweet. You know, sometimes I come here and I say different terms. People look at me like I came from the moon. In Israel, you know, it's called the land of milk and honey. There's not a lot of milk there, there's not a lot of honey there. But nevertheless, but we do have the best honey. We have Israeli bees. They're like fighter bees. These are like killer bees. You know, they're like... No one mess with the Israeli bees. They don't like to just fly, bzzz, you know. You don't want to mess with them. But nevertheless, I'm saying that we live in the north. We have the best honey, raw, real honey. But nevertheless, honey is 60th of man. Now, honey is very, very sweet. Even though we know that man was anything that you want. You wanted to eat steak today, in your mind you put the switch to steak, and the man is a steak. But nevertheless, man was also very, very sweet. And honey is 60th of the man. Shabbat is 60th of Olam Haba. If you pleasure on Shabbat, this will be 60th of what you would feel in Olam Haba. Most people don't really have pleasure on Shabbat. Some people, I was now here during Shabbat, 4:30, people are already starting to... Half an hour, 29 minutes, 28 minutes and 32 seconds. Sit down, relax, Shabbat. So then when it's like 3 minutes before the end of Shabbat, it's like the iPhone is already like pulling you. You didn't even say the noon of the amen of the lights already. So most people don't really enjoy Shabbat. And I'm saying that because I know myself. When I became observant, I hated Shabbat. I used to keep Shabbat. I used to keep everything. But I hated it. And the Shabbat in the summer, when it ends like at 9, I would sleep the whole day. I would hibernate. Tell my wife, I'm going to... Don't knock on the door. Wake me up for Havdalah. I hated Shabbat. But I did everything. I went to shul, I ate the whole thing, but I was the one that, I was like already with microscopes, telescopes, where's the stars? That's a star! No, it's an antenna. It's a star! So, and I didn't desecrate Shabbat. I just hated it. I couldn't stand it. It's just, you drive up the walls. You can't do anything. You want to jump out of your body. Baruch Hashem, at some point, it was a miracle. Like something changed and shifted, and suddenly everything opened up, and then I fell in love with Shabbat. Now the whole week I'm waiting for Shabbat. And then in the winter Shabbats, when it ends at 5, it's depressing. If you ever come and visit us in Tzfat, we have beautiful, huge Shabbat meals. Our Suda Shlishit is like 3-4 hours. We don't say Havdalah right away. I mean, some people, it's at Tzete Kochavim in a second, they're already doing Havdalah. We're sitting down, relaxed, we're not in a rush. So, I know firsthand that people don't enjoy Shabbat. And they might maybe enjoy the food or whatever, but you don't feel pleasure. Because the fact is that if somebody would feel pleasure, they would never desecrate Shabbat. And if you would taste one time what it means to enjoy Shabbat. So if a person would be able to one time have a little bit of taste what it means Shabbat, they will never desecrate Shabbat, and they will never do anything, will do anything just to pleasure the Shabbat. So we know that Shabbat is 60th of Olam Haba. Now, the place in the Talmud in Tractate Brachot says that Sheina, sleep, is 60th of a death. When you go to sleep, you are 60th dead. And dreams are 60th of a prophecy. Which means that if you have a dream, and it's a real dream, it's a 60th of really of a prophecy. You're actually getting real information in the dream. Now, we mentioned before, what is so important with dream? Everybody goes to sleep. Some people, they sleep all day long. But the reality is that everybody goes to sleep. Very few people sleep like an hour or two. So the Ari HaKadosh, Rabbi Yitzchok Luria, is asking, what's so important about sleep? Why is everybody doing it? Now, if you're looking at the simple explanation, what we call the pshat, then the sleep represents hitchadshut, to renew something, a new page. Sometimes you have a bad relationship and you need to open a new page, move on. You need to get some fresh air. There's an argument, you need to relax. Whatever it is, the sleep represents a cut between the days. I had a day, sometimes you say I had a horrible day. Nothing worked out. You go to sleep, you relax, you wake up in the morning, okay, brand new day. Yesterday was raining, today sunny. So the pshat of why we go to sleep, the simple explanation, is because you have to renew something. You have to get something new. More than that, it says, that's something that we don't really realize. A lot of people, you know what they do, is when they have a test, they would learn a lot for the test, go to sleep, and then in the morning, thank you, then in the morning, they will learn more to the test, and then go to sit and do the test. And in most cases, when you do that, you'll probably get 50 or 60. You're not going to do good. The best way to do is, if you need to go through a test, is to learn the material very well the night before, go to sleep, a full night's sleep, 6, 7, 8 hours, whatever you need, then wake up and right away and go to do the test. And the reason for that is that everything that I do throughout the day, at night, the brain needs to process it. So if I now learn the day before and then I go and sit and do the test, at night what happens is, just imagine, I'm going to say it in a simple example, but all the details that you go through the day, the brain is kind of like taking it and putting it in the right compartments, putting it in the right place where it belongs. Like when you walk in sometimes to a room and everything is a mess, you can't find anything. So imagine now you put everything in one place, then you know where everything is. So the brain does the exact same thing. Most people, they have a jungle in their mind. They can't even remember anything. You know, and if you're very organized, and not only if you're very organized, also if you let the brain function the right way, then the brain will take, in a very analytical way, all the details that you process and put it in the right places. So, you know, if you want to take a few things out of tonight, besides the sushi, you have to understand that sleep, when you really need to sleep is the time that really organizes things in your mind. Especially a lot of people, they go to tests, they in college, university, or whatever. So this is the perfect way to really process information. But that's more like a physical reason why we need to go to sleep. Most people, you'll tell them, do you know why they go to sleep? They'll tell you, I'm tired. Really? You're tired? Huh. Why are you tired? Woke up at 6 and I worked all day long and I worked out and I carried and I went up and down, and in the shul came to the lecture. At first it was up, then we went down, then we went up, then we went down. See, the guys in the cameras, they're not going to understand what I'm talking about. They're all going to be watching the video like, what? It's like you have to be there. So I'll have to put a description on the video. The lecture started on the 2nd floor. Then we went down to the 1st floor. People will say, you know what, I need to go to sleep, I'm tired. You really think you're tired when you need to go to sleep? You think it's your body that is tired when you go to sleep? No, body's not tired. It's already proven in many different ways. I don't want to give you ideas, but the body can go 2-3 days with no problem. The body doesn't get tired. It's the soul that gets tired. People sometimes think that they get their energy from all sorts of things. You know where you get your energy from? Only from the soul. You don't get energy from anything else. People buy these energy bars. Oh, I'm full of energy. No, you're not. No, I just have an energy bar. There's no energy in energy bars. I'll prove it to you. Give an energy bar to a dead person. Let's see if he has energy. He doesn't. So where's the energy coming from? From the soul. No doubt, don't take my words out of context, no doubt that nutrition will give you some type of a substance to, I will call it the fuel to the engine. But it's not the engine, it's just the fuel. And no doubt that if you feed your body with junk, then you will ruin the engine, but it doesn't mean that the energy is getting affected. Another proof to that is look at all the great tzaddikim. You think tzaddikim sleep? The Arizal never slept. He once broke his record. He slept for 2 minutes. He used to put his head down, and then put his head up. Okay, I'm done. Okay, that's the Arizal. Arizal, of course, was a very high level. Arizal is the Rabbi Yitzchak Luria. There's a famous story with him. I mean, he's my neighbor. I mean, I'm his neighbor. But he was there before me. But I live like 5 minutes from him. But there's a great story with him that one time, it was a Kabbalat Shabbat, and they would pray Mincha, and before Kabbalat Shabbat, he would give a drasha. And he's sitting in his chair, and he dozes off. Okay, the students are used to him just putting his head down, so nobody's looking at him. Few seconds pass, a minute pass, 2 minutes pass, he's not moving. What's going on with our Rebbe? Another minute pass. They're all getting, whoa, what's going on? This is a long sleep, 3.5 minutes. They all got worried, and then at some point they were afraid to touch him, not to touch him, and then he got up. And later on, one of his students told him, this is pretty rare, we never saw you sleeping like that. So he said, no, I had a aliyat neshama, and my soul went up to the world above. So his student told him, can you tell me what you saw there? So he said, yeah, I went to yeshiva of Mala, and I went to a class. It was a Torah Anytime class. And I learned some Chidushei Torah. He said, what did you learn about? He told him, I learned about the donkey of Bilam. The donkey of Bilam? He said, yeah. He said, can you tell us what you learned? He says, even if I'm going to speak for 80 years, it's not going to cover what I learned now when I saw in Yeshiva Shamayim in that minute and a half. But nevertheless, we're not the Arizal, so we don't sleep in a minute and a half. We sleep 19 hours. But if you look at the great tzaddikim, they don't sleep. They sleep half an hour, an hour. Why? Because the soul gets its energy from Torah, not from an energy bar or from an orange. So when a person is tired, it's not because the body is tired. It's not such a thing. The energy of the soul, it runs out kind of like a battery. Imagine yourself that you're like an iPhone. You can be the S, you'll be the X, you'll be the 9. Okay? I don't know all the models, but we're like a phone. And then the battery runs out and runs out and runs out. And then at night you plug it in and you recharge it. So exact same with our soul. It loses energy. That's why at some point you're tired. That's the only reason why you're tired, by the way. Yeah, it can be blamed on the person he worked hard or whatever, too much sugar in the blood, all sorts of, that's the way of nature, how it will affect the body. But the only way of losing energy is the soul. So the sleeping is only for the soul. If you would see that there's a gauge in your neshama, and slowly the energy is going down and down and down. And at 9, 10 at night, you're already losing energy and you're becoming sleepy. If you want to put it to the test, and one time, check yourself into a yeshiva for a few months and learn Torah all day long, and make sure that you are eating just kosher, and that you're not lying or cheating or saying lashon hara and slandering and all these sins, then you're going to contain the energy, and then you're on fire. And when I was younger, not that I'm a dinosaur right now, but when I was younger and I was living in yeshiva and learning Torah all day long, I would sleep an hour a night, 2 hours at night. So why? Because you learn Torah all day long. Now even if you take a lot of Torah in, if you don't know how to contain the energy, then the energy will be lost anyways. That's the problem with most people. They will wake up in the morning They will go to shul and put tefillin on. And tefillin is like a nuclear reactor of energy. And then they will say Birkat HaMazon or learn a little bit Torah. And they're beaming with energy. But then the second they go out to the streets, right away lying, and then cheating, and lashon hara, and slandering, and jealousy, and hate, and they start poking all the holes, and all the energy, like a balloon, goes out. That's the problem, that we generate a little energy, but we don't know how to really contain it. So the Ari HaKadosh explains that when we go to sleep, the sleeping is only for the soul. Now what really happens when you sleep? First of all, and most important, is that my soul goes up to the heavens and it writes a journal. And then at the end it signs it. And a journal, maybe you can call it a diary or whatever you want, but you write everything that you did that day. And after 120 years, when you go to Shamayim, they pull up your journal and they said, okay, let's see what you wrote. And you signed it. So you can't say, it wasn't me, but you signed it, you wrote it. So that's why we say Kriyat Shema Lamita, so I can do tshuva. Because if I will do tshuva, then I go up to Shamayim with much less sins. So there's much less to write. That's why you see that a person that is a great rabbi or great tzaddik, they don't sleep much. There's not a lot to write. He goes in and just says, I woke up in the morning, I followed whatever the Torah says, good night. But imagine somebody the whole day long when I lied and I said this and I said lashon hara and then I cheated and I looked to that person in the wrong way and I was jealous and you have to write a whole Megillah. So the soul goes up there and writes a journal. Then after 120 years, they will show the soul everything that the person wrote. Needless to say, if you do tshuva, you erase it. And of course, that's what we want to do. We want to do tshuva in this world, that we start deleting all these averot that we did. But nevertheless, we go to the heavens and we write down. The next thing that we do when we go up to Shamayim is to testify in other people's court cases. A soul will die, go to the heavenly court, and then he gets a good lawyer, a few Jewish lawyers, and the lawyer starts defending. Yeah, but you stole, but but I did also this, and then, the whole trial in Shamayim. Now what happens if you get prosecuted in Shamayim for theft? So they subpoena now the person you stole from, or anybody who knows, and there's witnesses. So at night, you are called to the heavenly court to give a testimonial. That's why if you really look, there's many different nosachim of Kriyat Shema Lamita, the bedtime Shema, but the majority of them say the same thing. The nosach of the Ari HaKadosh, he says, Hareni mochel lechol mi shechrisoti. I'm hereby forgiving any person that angered me. Ben begofi, ben bemamoni, in my body, in my wealth, in my spirit, in this world, in the previous world. You start by saying, I forgive everybody. You do tshuva. Why? Because if you don't do tshuva and you get subpoenaed to the heavenly court, you might come there and give a false testimony, or you will come very harsh on the testimony. And then another reason, there are many reasons, but another reason why we go up to Shamayim is to put myself in the plug and to charge the neshama. Now a lot of people, they go to sleep and they wake up in the morning after 8 hours, 9 hours, 10 hours, and they wake up like, it's like, why? So you know that you didn't go to a good place at night. If you go to sleep and you wake up after 8 hours and you're tired, then you are guaranteed that you did not go to a good place in the world above. Now what happens is if you don't do the right tshuva before you go to sleep, sometimes the neshama doesn't even go up. It's stuck. Like an air balloon that has like the sand sacks that holding it down. So therefore our sages added to us a prayer, bedtime Shema, one of the most important prayers during the day. I know that many will argue based on halacha that the Shema is because for the ones who maybe prayed before Tzet HaKochavim and they have to say Shema again. But I have a few classes online about Shema. You should go and look at it, because a lot of women think they don't have to say Shema. Women obligated also in saying Shema. And this is a halacha. This is not a custom. If you want to do yourself a favor, 90% of problems that people have is because they don't say Shema Lamita. This is one of the most powerful prayers one can do, and that's why there's such a yetzer hara. Oh, I'm tired. I'll do it tomorrow. Yeah, but tomorrow. Most people, they come the time to sleep, they want to just kamikaze on the bed like shh. So that's where the yetzer hara comes and tells you, no, you're tired. You know what? You were pretty good today. and you get like a quarter to somebody in the morning, it's okay. You have a mitzvah. You go to sleep. You prayed last week, no? Was it last week? No, I don't remember. But the reality is that this is the most important prayer of the day, because physically you do tshuva. You know, reading Kriyat Shema Lamita is not just to sit in your bed with a pajama and a teddy bear. It's to do tshuva, to review your day. And the right way of doing it, this is a custom minhag Hasidim, that they take a paper and they write down, I lied, I cheated, and so I can do tshuva. If I did something wrong to you, I can go and apologize. If I owe somebody money, and so forth. Now, if I don't do tshuva, then it doesn't guarantee to me for my soul to go up to the world above, not to get charged, not to write down my diary. And that's where it starts affecting a lot of our dreams. Because what's going to happen when you leave the body, the Ramchal says in Derech Hashem that when you leave your body at night, your soul meets creatures identical to itself. So the souls meet souls. Hey, what you doing? You know, like a high-fiving other souls. And we meet sometimes spirits and demons and angels. Depends on the soul and what's your merit and where you're allowed to go. If the person has a lot of sins, he's not meeting some movie stars. He's meeting a lot of demons and spirits that will bother the soul. You get nightmares. You get all sorts of bad dreams. They affect the person in a very bad way. But nevertheless, the soul, the sleeping, is only for the soul. It's not for the body. Don't think for 1 second. People say, "Oh, I need my beauty sleep." You want beauty? Then go to the beauty salon. Don't go to the sleeping. But nevertheless, what the Ramchal says is that the neshama, it goes up into the world above, and it wanders. It says the word "himetayelet," and when it wanders, it starts meeting all sorts of souls. So sometimes when you dream about somebody, and it's a real dream, you actually met that person in the world above. It's not that it's a vision or something. And how many times somebody came and told you, "I dreamt about you." You know, one time, I know this is a little bit PG-13, but one time I was in the mikveh. And, usually when you go to the mikveh, you have to take your clothes off. And I'm standing there and I'm wiping myself, and this guy is looking at me like, and I'm like, I'm wiping myself, and he's like, I'm like, excuse me, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm not really covered. Why are you looking at me? And, he puts his head down, he looks at me again like, I'm like, come on, man. I mean, this is a mikveh. Why are you looking at me? Of course, I didn't say anything. I'm just like turning around like, okay. So I felt uncomfortable, and I go out of the mikveh, and he's waiting outside. I'm like, come on, what, you want my number? So he tells me, I dreamt about you last night. And of course, my question was I naked? Dreamt about me last night? Boy. Say that to my wife, see if you survive. But nevertheless, he's looking at me like he saw a ghost, and he told me, I dreamt about you last night. He's like, I don't even know who you are. So, and I get that a lot. Not in the mikvahs, but I build myself my own private mikveh. But nevertheless, he tells me that he dreamt about me at night, and with all jokes aside, but he dreamt at me at night. He doesn't even know me. He's like, I never even saw you, and I dreamt about you, and I saw the face clear. Now I'm seeing you. So the point is that what I'm trying to say is that many times you dream of somebody, and it doesn't mean that it's really a false vision. Sometimes you are actually meeting the other soul during the journey at night, and it can be an alive person, and it can be a dead person. But this is true. So we have a Kabbalah taught by the Ramchal that at night your soul goes and it has a journey around the world. Some people in their dreams, they go one night they're in Cancun, the next time in Thailand, and all sorts of other places. But nevertheless, what's important to take from that is that the Talmud says, same place in Tractate Brachot, page 55, it says, there's always going to be false information in a dream. Don't think that if you dream of something, it's 100%. There's a very good chance that a lot of the information is real, but there's always going to be false information. Don't fall for all the information. Now, it also says there, how do you know then that the dream is real? Now, let's say I dreamt now something, very vivid, strong dream. How do I know what's real in it? If the dream is real, or if it's not real at all, or if there's something real in the dream. So, Rabbi Yochanan says in the Talmud that there are 3 types of dreams that are real. He doesn't use the word real, rather he says Shlosha chalomot mitkaimim. 3 dreams will be fulfilled. The first one, it says Chalom Shacharit. Now, I have explained that in a different lecture, that there are a few types of dreams. And if you want, you can go on my website or the YouTube. I have other videos about dreams. But in one of the last lectures, I was explaining that there are a few types of dreams. The first type is the dreams that you have right when you fall asleep. You know those people that they fall asleep for like 2 seconds? Then they get up, whoa, that's such a dream. You were sleeping for 2 seconds. No, it was like 2 hours. So the dreams that you have right when you fall asleep, these are the biggest nonsense ever. It has nothing to do with anything. It's all the junk that is accumulated in your head throughout the day. And not only that, if you eat before you go to sleep, then the fumes of the food that is still in your stomach will go up to your brain, and you're going to dream of all sorts of weird dreams. Elephants with pink eyes, you know, whatever it is, Hasidim in pink boots, whatever. Yellow streimels, like, what's going on? And there's this bar park, where am I? So, all these weird dreams right when you fall asleep. Bechlal, it's extremely unhealthy, but also spiritually it's very unhealthy to eat before you go to sleep. Better to have nothing in your stomach. But nevertheless, the dreams right when you fall asleep are complete nonsense. There's nothing there. Then there's the dreams that are throughout the night, and usually you don't remember anything of them. You sleep way too deep. And also these dreams is all the leftovers in your brain that are just coming together. And imagine now, I mean, you can kind of vision it with technology. Sometimes you see in video editing, you see a beautiful video and they have all these transitions from one frame to another frame, and they break up into many pieces and come back into one piece. That's kind of what's happening in the middle of the night. That the brain takes pictures. Just imagine how many pictures you take every day. If your brain had a database or storage, you know, most people when they select their phone, so what do you have, a 16 gigabyte, a 32 gigabyte, a 120 something, whatever. So same thing is the brain. It's a capacity of how much information can be held. Can you imagine how many pictures your eyes take every second? So the brain needs to process all these pictures. So during at night, it takes all these pictures that you took throughout the day and starts putting them all together in a mishmash that has no connection to each other, and it creates some type of a dream. But again, there's no reality in these dreams. But then you have the other 2 types, the one of them that are early in the morning, and then the ones that right before you wake up. The ones right before you wake up, these are the real dreams. These are the dreams that Rabbi Yochanan says, these are the chalomot shemitkaimim, the real ones. Which means that the ones that you dream in the middle of the night, usually, I don't know if you notice, most nightmares are in the middle of the night. Nightmares are usually not early in the morning and not before you wake up. Why the nightmares? I told you one out of many, that when your soul goes up to Shamayim, if it's not protected, then what will come to the soul? Only demons and spirits, evil spirits, to try to bite off some kedusha from that soul. Now what happens is, during the day, you accumulate holiness, especially if you're observant. You put tefillin on, you say Birkat HaMazon, you say Sh'hakol Niya Bidvaro, you learn Torah, you give tzedakah, you accumulate a lot of kedusha. Now what happens is, the Talmud gives an unbelievable, beautiful analogy.